Life sucks when you're born as a Komodo dragon. There's no sugarcoating it, it just plain sucks. Sure, you might think, oh, Komodo dragons are pretty cool, right? They're giant lizards, king of their habitat. But let me tell you, beneath that scaly exterior hides a catalog of struggles, ill-fated biology, and the big old middle finger that Mother Nature clearly gave them at some point in evolutionary history. Let's not sugarcoat it here. When your species earns the title apex predator but still seems to have a harder life than a broke college student, something isn't quite right. You think you've got childhood trauma? Strap in, because unless you were born in a soap opera, Komodo dragons have you beat. This is a life plagued by backstabbing family drama, the constant threat of cannibalism, and absolutely zero concept of personal space. If you've ever felt like life just loves handing out more lemons than anyone could possibly make lemonade with, read on. By the end of this, you'll buy a Komodo dragon a drink and tell it, buddy, you deserve one. Hatching out of an egg is just the start of the nightmare. Imagine this. You're growing peacefully inside your egg, being all fetal and dragon-like, dreaming lizardy dreams. Life is good, until, bam, it's time to hatch. And by time to hatch, I mean, congratulations. You're about to join the Thunderdome. The first thing you learn as you claw your way out of the egg is that your siblings, yes, your very own flesh and blood, are already considering whether you'd be better as A, a trusty lifelong companion, or B, breakfast. Spoiler alert, they almost always pick breakfast. And that's not even the worst part. Your mom, the one who laid the egg, who supposedly cares about you, might eat you too. This isn't some, oh, my parent doesn't support my dreams kind of issue. No, we're talking I birthed you, and now I'm going to eat you like a scaly bagel levels of maternal betrayal. If your life starts with an all-you-can-eat sibling buffet, and you're on the menu, you can't really blame the Komodo dragon for having trust issues. Parenting. Never heard of it. Some species nurture their young. Komodo dragons do the exact opposite of that. Once they lay their eggs, Mama Komodo's job is done. There are no lullabies, bedtime stories, or lessons about the circle of life. Nope. Mother Dearest just buries the eggs in a hole, stomps around to make it look inconspicuous, and lets the chips fall where they may. In fact, a Komodo dragon burying its eggs isn't so much protective behavior as it is half-heartedly delaying the inevitable. Monitor lizards, boars, and even other Komodo dragons will happily dig them up and eat them. And no, the mom doesn't stick around to defend her kids. It's more like, well, that's your problem now. Good luck. It's basically like being thrown out of the womb and straight into a gladiator pit. Except the gladiators are your family. All right, let's say you're one of the lucky ones who hatches and evades the local buffet situation. What's your next move? Cling to your mom? Nope. Remember, she's out there living her best life pretending she doesn't have children. Instead, you bolt. But where do you go? Up a tree. Yes, you, the majestic Komodo dragon, supposed king of predators, predator extraordinaire, live in a tree. Why? Because if you don't, everything else, from your parent to your siblings, to that one weird Komodo dragon who just likes the taste of smaller Komodos, will eat you. Up there, eating bugs, small birds, and whatever unfortunate snack stumbles into the canopy. That's your new reality. You won't touch actual meat for years. Even worse, you've got to stay hidden for most of your childhood because the adult Komodos can, and, frankly, will, eat you. It's like being grounded, but forever. Adolescence. The tree-dwelling weirdo phase. So there you are, chilling in trees, hacking it out in a life that looks less apex predator and more lizard hermit with no friends. You're gangly, awkward, and can't come down to earth because the moment you do, Uncle Frank, the 10-foot-long Komodo, will make you disappear faster than last night's dinner. You're eating scraps and insects while every other predator gets the 5-star menu. By the time you finally grow big enough to venture down from the trees, you've essentially missed out on dress rehearsals for ambushing prey. Humans have the terror of puberty. We get acne and existential dread. But Komodo dragons? They face years of being a glorified garden gnome that still might end up in someone else's stomach. Let's talk housing. When Komodo dragons finally settle down after their tree-bound awkward years, they don't build anything grand. They dig holes. That's it, just a dirt pit. No cozy underground town, no artistic lizard city planning, just a pit. And honestly, Komodo dragons barely even use them. They're like the lizard equivalent of the treadmill that sits in your bedroom collecting dust. Oh, and if you thought the pits were constructed based on personal dragon merit, think again. Big bully Komodos will chase you out of yours the second they want it. It's a cutthroat real estate game where might equals right. You know how pro athletes have performance-enhancing gear like high-tech shoes? Well, Komodo dragons have bacteria. And I don't mean they have some helpful bacteria like the kind that makes yogurt probiotics. Nope, we're talking about the kind that weaponizes their bite into a grotesque infection factory. Basically, their saliva is like licking death itself. And sure, you might be thinking, that's awesome. Nature gave them a deadly weapon. But have you thought about the implications? Your breath literally smells like rotting corpses 24/7. You, a Komodo dragon, are walking around with a hygiene problem so bad that wildlife researchers have to wear hazmat suits just to examine you. Love life? Forget it. Your first date is dead on arrival, literally. So you're finally a big, strong, fully grown Komodo dragon. Time to embrace your apex predator status, right? Wrong. Being apex sounds cool until you realize this just means you have to chase down and murder everything you eat. And when we're talking prey, we're not saying, oh, cute little rabbits. We're saying deer, buffalo, sometimes humans depending on how reckless tourists are feeling. When you're hunting, there's no fast food option. You ambush your prey, bite it, and then follow it for days as your high-octane bacteria cocktail slowly kills it. This isn't just hunting, it's soap opera murder. You literally have to play creepy stalker, watching your lunch slowly succumb to multiple organ failure, while avoiding bigger Komodos that might come steal it out from under you. It's a slow, disgusting, ew, no thank you kind of life. Oh, you bet your rotting bacteria-filled teeth Komodo dragons eat each other. Cannibalism isn't just a thing, it's a lifestyle. Big Komodos routinely eat smaller Komodos because apparently they've never heard of solidarity among reptiles. It gets worse. Researchers have documented mating pairs where the male, and I cannot emphasize this enough, eats the female mid-mating. Can you imagine being halfway through a date and your partner decides you're their midnight snack? The dating world for a Komodo dragon is a nightmare. Speaking of dating, buckle up because Komodo dragon courtship is a dumpster fire with extra kerosene. Males fight each other in brutal WWE-style smackdowns just to win the female's attention. But it doesn't mean the lady Komodo is picking Mr. Right. No, she probably doesn't even care. After the winner wins, she might just attack him because female Komodos do not have time for nonsense. If they do mate, the male has to hang around awkwardly in case another challenger shows up, because guess what? Other males will absolutely interrupt mid-action for a shot at glory. It's chaotic, violent, and deeply unromantic. Think of it as a cross between speed dating and Fight Club. When a Komodo dragon dies, they're not buried with honor. Far from it. Their decomposing body is seen as, not surprisingly, an excellent meal for all the other Komodos. No one mourns you, no one remembers you, and your ultimate fate is to be eaten by relatives you probably didn't even like. It's an endless cycle of misery, as if life looked at Komodo dragons and said, you know what? Let's make suffering their entire personality. So why be a Komodo dragon? The short answer. You don't get a choice. Evolution doesn't take suggestions. And if you're a Komodo dragon, well, tough luck, buddy. Sure, they're iconic, fascinating creatures, deeply respected by anyone who knows about them. But at what cost? A life of fighting for survival, eating each other, child neglect, and improvised bacterial warfare? At least when human kids whine about how hard their lives are, they're not being chased around their home by murderous relatives. It sucks to be born a Komodo dragon, but hey, at least that's one less thing you have to worry about in your own life. So next time life throws you a curveball, just think, at least you're not a baby Komodo dragon trying not to get eaten at Thanksgiving dinner. Life could always, always be worse.